3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Tokusatsu Corner with your hosts Nathan Graves 989 and nyankyou 4. Now grab your Ranger keys and your Astro switches, cause it's time for the Tokusatsu Corner.
On February 13, 2011, a group of space pirates landed on Earth, searching for the greatest treasure in the universe, while they were chased by the evil empire Zangyuk. 1 year later, the pirates have found that treasure, and they have fought the forces of Zangyuk, and we're here to talk about it today. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tokusatsu Corner, your weekly dose of Tokusatsu. I'm Nathan Graves 989, and with me as always is...
Nightshade.
And welcome to episode 14 and the Gokaiger special of the Tokusatsu Corner. Now, unfortunately, Light isn't here with us today because of scheduling issues, but he will be back here in the next episode when we talk about the Go Buster premiere. But right now, we have two very special guests with us. You may have heard them before on the Tokusatsu Corner on our very second episode. And introduce yourselves accordingly, please.
Hi everybody, I am Samurai Cage 2.
And, Zeromaster, once again.
Good to have you guys back with us.
Always a pleasure.
I do have to say, during that whole intro that you did, Nathan, I was actually doing the I just wanted to do that in the background, but then I knew you would yell at me if I did it.
Alright, and to kick off the show, we're gonna announce last show's trivia winners. And last trivia question was, out of the 35 years of Super Sentai, how many Blue Rangers were women? The answer is 4. Blue Dolphin from Live Man, Blue Swallow from Jetman, Hurricane Blue from Hurricaneger, and Magi Blue from Magi Ranger. And congratulations to DarkKnightGrave, Exodia the Forbidden 125, Convoy 16, and Blitzkrieg Dragon 13 for getting those questions correct. Now, normally, right now, we would have the Toku News Corner, but since this is a special episode, we're going to be jumping straight into superhero time.
Gokaiger! Switch on! Kamen Rider Fourze!
Okay, in superhero time, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Since today's the Gokaiger episode, we're actually going to be starting off with Kamen Rider Fourze. And first, we're going to be talking about Kamen Rider Fourze episode 19, which was the continuation episode where Kengo and Gentaro had their falling out. Ryusei worked on the magnet switches, they didn't exactly work. The mag phone didn't work as well. And lots of other stuff happened.
I guess the magnet phone didn't take too well to Gintaro's magnetic personality.
Oh, lame.
I like that it showed. I like that even though he's supposed to be undercover, kind of, and somewhat of a spy, Ryusei still cares about making the switches work.
Yeah, because they have a similar goal. They have to fight Zodiarts.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but doesn't Cosmic Disco Bruce Lee want to have the Zodiac get into their final form to help his friend?
I would assume he would want that for himself.
That's for the
right. So why is he helping foes destroy the enemy that he wants to evolve?
Well, he does work for the anti-Zodiac Alliance, which means he still has to destroy Zodiarts. Just when he finds the Ares one or whatever I think that's the one he's after, he's gonna probably drain his power or something to save his
right
friend.
But for the Ares to appear, he needs to have one of the Zodiarts transform into their final form.
And they did.
In a
No.
episode.
Oh yeah.
And we'll be talking about in a couple minutes. But I like this episode, and it premiered the new form for Fourze.
Yes.
Fourze Magna State. He's like a tank. He just looks like a tank.
I do have to ask one question though. What cell phone plan does he use on that thing?
I assume it's Verizon, because you can't use AT&T, because AT&T sucks.
Yeah. I don't think AT&T gets good coverage in space.
Well, yeah. What cell phone provider has great coverage in space? That's what we need to know.
Space TNT.
Aperture.
Yes,
Space
Aperture.
TNT.
Aperture.
Aperture. Aperture cell phone service.
I just
Why
want
do you see the spheres up there? Space.
I just
Can I keep your
want to.
calls?
Shut up!
I just want to comment that at first I thought the magnet stakes were dumb, but then when I saw it in action with its guns and stuff, I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. It's a ranged, another ranged form,
But
which is,
Like fire.
but it's got more power to it. It is like a tank, so fire you can maneuver. You can't really maneuver all that much in magnet states, so it's really just for like, I'ma shoot you a million times.
I haven't really seen him move.
Isn't
Well,
that what the
man.
boosters on his back is for?
Like it's like armor core. You can't really move that well in terms of turning and stuff like that.
That's why he has the boosters on his back.
Yeah, but still.
It's still a lot of, if he's wearing heavier armor, Samurai, it's probably putting a lot of strain on the boosters, so that's probably why he doesn't move around a lot in tank form.
yeah,
And
that's
again,
another
you
reason.
can't really-
Like, I really don't like the magnet states that much. It's too much of a tank, and
And it uses up both arm slots, so you really can't combine it with any other arm stuff like rocket or something like that. I mean, you could probably combine it with Gatling launcher, but then magnets would probably mess them up and send them all flying everywhere.
I mean, I assume that he has control of the magnet switches now, because that's what happened when he first tried to use NS magnet, is that everything kind of clung to him. But now that he's got like this type of, I guess, holster for it, like it comes in a phone form, so I assume like a lot of the energy is directed into the triggers. So I assume that he can use them more effectively now, instead of having to worry about all this stuff just sticking to him like it did the first time around.
I wonder what kind of apps he gets on that thing.
anyway, in the end, Fourze manages to defeat the monster and save the day yet again.
Yep.
Overall,
But
Verdict
then,
is a good episode.
yeah, good episode.
They've really done some good episodes by far, so this was just a really good one.
There really hasn't been any that have been hugely lacking, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
But
I think they made their mistakes with Kamen Rider Kiva. Like, I think that era is going kind of gone, and Decade. I think that was kind of like gone now.
I will slap
Kiva,
you.
I enjoy. Yeah, I was gonna say Nathan's gonna slap you for that Kiva comment.
Well, I had
The ending to Kiva, dude. I'm talking about
okay,
the
the ending
ending
to Kiva, I'll give you that.
I wasn't talking about the whole series. I should
Some of the episodes
I
in
felt.
Kiva were slow, I have to agree, but it's still a good series.
Tell that to crows.
It's
Anyway,
darker.
moving on to the next episode, Kamen Rider Fourze, episode 21. And hey, this episode has a special guest in it. Hurricane Blue.
Again!
Yay!
She's been appearing in a lot
many
of
Kamen
Toku
Riders?
series.
Yeah, like
Because
she was
she's
in
hot.
Double as the Magician's Daughter. She was in what else was
She
she?
was
For
a
the
Gokaiger.
record,
Gokaiger.
the double one wasn't really her best one because she was invisible. You don't want to hide that hotness.
Well, she was visible in the
then, like-
XL movie, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
True enough.
So, segue.
Oh god, yeah.
We see Kentaro's new teacher in it have to be Hurricane Blue, and she's looking as hot as ever.
Hot. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
And I like the
She also-
segue.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we get to that.
But what was the zodiac for this episode? Pegasus, and it was just
Yeah.
beating up a whole bunch of random, like, fighting dudes.
I think this episode kind of lacked because doesn't Pegasus look kind of familiar?
Well,
Like a different Zodiac that we saw a few episodes back?
well, here's the thing: they're both horses, so of course they're gonna look similar.
Yeah, but that's just me being a little bit nitpicky. But you know,
I
continue.
think I think the unicorn Zodiac was actually the failed product of what the unicorn Dopant was supposed to be in Double. Because they never showed unicorn. They never did. Yet it was a memory.
Maybe they intended to and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. So they just used it in Fourze.
I believe, yeah, this episode premiered a couple new switches. If I remember correctly. The Wolverine claw and the skateboard.
Claw and board. Yep.
I love the Wolverine claw, and we found our new combo, claw shield. It's generic, but it's still a combo.
You could also argue that claw and the board is a combo as well.
Right.
The only thing I thought of when I saw the claw was
Just a purple Laturata.
And plus, what the limit break would be for those two?
Probably the shield busting through the guy first, and then him stabbing the enemy.
I was talking board into claw.
Oh. Goes super fast, and then he can slash him a bunch of times.
A board can't move.
Oh.
He made it move using the winch and Meteor's motorcycle.
True, but then Winch and Claw use the same arm, don't they?
No.
Winch is
Oh yeah,
left.
that's right.
Winch is left, Claw's right. But yeah, there were a lot of clues pointing to who could possibly be the Zodiac for this episode, and all the clues are pointing towards the teacher, especially at the end when I believe the Zodiac said something along the lines of, like, you wouldn't hit your teacher, and right then Gentaro believes that his teacher is the Zodiac, and episode ends.
On a cliffhanger.
Just like every other comic episode.
Now, one thing we could talk about that was pretty important as a plot point in that episode was that the teacher is a kickboxer.
Nah, that's not.
Yeah. I don't know what.
You talk about is extremely important.
I will kick you out of this podcast.
And the,
I will kickbox you out of the. Oh no, wait!
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Dang.
Calm down. But it's also like it's also because that's what makes him so sure that the Zodiac is his teacher, because she does this one move.
A certain kick.
This one, a certain kick all the time, and so and it's perfect. So he automatically thinks it's her. But in the next episode, 24, which I wondered if I segued that properly.
Yeah, you segued into the wrong episode.
Oh.
22, whatever.
Yes, let's continue on to the next episode, which is Kamen Rider Fourze, episode 22. And even more clues pointing to who could be the possible Zodiac, leaning towards the teacher. And Gentaro is dead set on believing that his teacher is the Zodiac, even so much as to finding her in the kickboxing ring.
And getting owned, but it's Hurricane Blue, so that was pretty much expected.
Yeah, and Gentaro without his pompadour is like, what the fuck?
Well, he probably sweated it out. Or sweat it out, whatever.
True. And then they find another clue left behind by the Zodiac?
Ah, yes. In the last episode, the Magnet Stakes was used on the Pegasus Zodiac, and a member of the Rakugo Club's watch was not exactly working. And he seemed to be favoring he seemed to be favoring a certain spot on his stomach.
Which that spot was hit by none other than our Cosmic Disco Bruce Lee.
I think he did that on purpose at the start of the episode, because he wanted to be sure that it was right. And wouldn't you know it, Gentaro wasn't right, but that doesn't happen. That happens a lot, so.
Yeah, Gentaro is not exactly smart.
Yeah.
He trades friendship for smarts.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Zodiac also did drop another clue during the fight. a certain fan used by the club that Nathan mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were interviewed about the fan, and they suspected because it had been confiscated that originally it was the teacher. However,
It turns out that the actual Zodiac was the Rakugo Club member. And
The president, wasn't it?
I believe so. And it all makes sense because the magnet destroyed his watch battery. He was favoring his stomach because Meteor punched him. And that fan belonged to him. And he lied to Gentaro about being his teacher just because he thought it would be fun.
And it was all figured out by our great and awesome Kamen Rider detail.
so if you put all the clues together, it's Cake Boss.
Yes, it's Cake Boss.
Yes, it is Cake Boss.
Subarashi! You figured it out.
Oh, and speaking
Well, no, another big
And
clue, though.
and
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
speaking of Cake Boss, next episode we're actually going to be talking about the Kamen Rider O's movie, so be on the lookout for that.
Ooh.
But yeah, so find out it's
But,
yeah. Go ahead, Samurai.
sorry, there was just one other thing I wanted to point out, which I think was really important. There was also a fight between Meteor and Libra, which
Yes.
Meteor did not really suspect that it was him until Libra called, or it wasn't Libra, it was, who was it?
Virgo.
I think it was
The female
Virgo.
Zodiac.
Virgo, yeah.
Virgo, it was Virgo. She called the Zodiac a he during the fight. So that was what actually sparked the investigation within Meteor's head to say, oh, it's probably not the teacher, it's probably someone else.
Yeah. And it turns out it's Mr. Fanny Fan Pants.
Or the club president.
Mhm.
That's what he said. Mr. Fanny Fan.
So- And so
Mr. Fan.
Fourze fights him, and
With the help of his
wins-
teacher.
yeah,
Yes, with the help of the teacher, because she shadowed...
awesome.
Yeah, who is awesome. Who shadowed kickboxing moves to him during the fight and helped him gain the edge.
And he ultimately defeated the Zodiac using the magnet state's limit break. Or has he?
Dun dun dun!
Yeah, no. He turned into cancer.
That's right. In this series, a Kamen Rider is gonna fight cancer.
is it bad?
Actually-
Is it bad that my my zodiac sign is Cancer?
So it's mine too.
I
And
look at the
actually, it looks
image.
pretty. It actually looks pretty cool because it kind of looks like a Kamen Rider. Like I know, like from the certain parts, it does, but like you know, other
Wasn't
parts.
there
looks like-
already a crab Kamen Rider?
Is there?
Yes.
Yeah, and Ryuki.
Yeah, Kamen Rider. Scissor.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that stupid thing.
But I don't really think that guy Cancer looks like a Kamen Rider at all.
He looks like a giant
definitely-
crab.
Giant
Yeah,
enemy
that's
crab.
Crab battle!
Oh my
Next
god, a
episode,
level 52 Zodiac.
Next episode, Foes fights Cancer.
Oh,
just picture
dark
Foes and
episode.
doctors.
Before we segue into that, verdict for this episode. Good episode.
I just also want to add in that at the end, Gentaro, I guess, his teacher starts teaching him kickboxing, and what I hope is that he actually starts like getting better at fighting. Because, no offense to Foes, he fights pretty well, but he's a moron in even his fighting. So it wouldn't hurt him to get some better moves.
Well, he is a high school student.
I know,
Oh.
but before I went to high school, I was a black belt in Taekwondo, so
And he's Asian, so
he should know some sort of. That's racist. Come
the
on.
Tokusatsu
I'm sorry,
Corner.
I'm still laughing.
Racism.
Racism.
still
It's
laughing
always
at you.
fun. Anyway, let's move on to the next episode.
Yes, let's move on to the final episode we're going to be talking about today. Kamen Rider Fourze, episode 23.
I think my favorite part of this episode is where Sig comes in from Deno and he just starts beating the crap out of everyone.
Yeah, that's what I thought
just about
first.
to say that. Oh.
Do 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 do.
Yes.
We
The
form-
actual Zodiac for this episode was Cygnus, I believe it was called,
Cygnus,
which
yeah.
was a swan. And as soon as you see the feathers fall down and you hear music like dun 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 dun, I'm like, Zig from Deno? What are you doing here? But it turns out it wasn't. It was a Zodiac who says they are fighting for justice.
It actually almost looks like a Kamen Rider. At certain
my
points.
God.
Everything looks like a Kamen Rider to you.
It looks
Nuh-uh.
like an Imagine because it looks like C.
You
Really?
said Cancer looked like a Kamen
I thought it
Rider.
kinda looks like a Kamen
Now you're
Rider.
saying this one looks like a Kamen Rider.
Hey, you know what? It's 2 for 2 right now.
Hey
I mean,
guys,
have
my
you
dog
been
looks like a
watching-
Kamen Rider.
Have you been watching
I think
Shin
this
Night
teddy bear
Shift?
looks like a Kamen Rider.
Have you been watching Shin?
no, I don't watch crap.
Because if you had been watching Shin, then you'll think every monster looks like a Kamen Rider because Shin is literally a monster.
No, I don't think he
No,
looks
we
like
know
Kamen
it's
Rider.
shit. He looks like shit.
Yeah.
Nightshade, here's a picture of my grandma. Does it look like a Kamen Rider?
Dude, that's the oldest looking Kamen Rider I've ever seen in my entire life.
Anyways, back on track. So, this Cygnus guy, he's going around being a hero.
Which is
And-
odd to see in a Zodiac, because usually they're evil.
Well, and it turns out there's a cult following for Cygnus, and he's not so heroic.
Yeah, but
Um,
before we get into that,
Jumping ahead,
Before we get into that-
come on.
Foes had his first actual fight with Cancer, and lost.
Horribly.
Oh no!
the chainsaw leg.
It didn't
Yeah.
work!
Chainsaw like failed. It failed
It
horribly.
never fails.
It's the fucking
I
chainsaw
know
thing.
you're trying not to edit any clips. Can you quickly edit that in and go boom 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 boom?
No.
I wouldn't fit, I don't think. But no, Foes fought Cancer and lost. Maybe I'll have a better time with leukemia.
That's in terrible taste. Anyway,
No, it's not.
Sorry, that was horrible, people. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, it's
for
not.
that.
There's no such thing as horrible jokes.
actually, yes, there is. Anyway, Foes actually had to get help from the Zodiac to fend off Cancer, at least for a little bit. And it's really weird seeing a Zodiac and a Kamen Rider fighting together, as opposed to each other.
I thought it was
And
awesome.
a Zodiac being more powerful than a horoscope.
Well, it was not technically. I don't think it was more powerful. I think it was just. I don't know.
It was able to fend it off.
It's like Pokemon. He happened to have his weakness.
I like how Cancer can't just like teleport away, so he just runs.
And he almost has to do a show with his claw as he's about ready to run away.
I literally thought he was gonna be like, look over there, bye.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did that in the future. But anyway, as Zero mentioned earlier, there's a cult following for Cygnus, and they're fucking crazy. And
Yeah, which they were told by two other individuals, one a very pudgy otaku looking boy, and another one who was actually in a suit with feathers and trying to act like the person with the other guy throwing feathers at him.
and the leader of this cult is a huge bitch. Anyway, Ryusei and Tomoko leave, even though the leader said you're not allowed to leave. They're like, fuck you, we're leaving. This isn't word by word, mind you, but
He goes like, you're not allowed to leave. Shove off, bitch, I'm Meteor. Okay.
but anyway, they find, like Zero said, they find out that Cygnus isn't really heroic. Anybody who doesn't support him, he beats the crap out of, to the point where they're hospitalized.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and guess what happens when Yusei and Tomoko decide to leave? Cygnus shows up.
To get ice cream? Oh.
Then they get the crap beaten out of him. And then what's his name? I can't remember his name.
Who?
Meteor.
Ryusei.
Ryusei. He starts fighting really well, but he can't show off his fighting skills because she's there. Yeah, there's witnesses.
Also, another important part is that we got to see a brand new Foodroid.
Oh yeah, the ice cream cone.
Ice cream.
And it used
The ice cream
it
cone.
used Blizzard.
It used Blizzard. It's actually a fan that blows cold air on the enemies.
And Gentara.
And guitar.
And Gentara.
Anyway, we're also the ice cream food droid gets Gentaro. They all get there, and then Gentaro's given a new Astro Switch, giant foot.
Cue giant step.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a switch that uses cosmic energy to increase the gravitational pull on a certain spot. Pretty much shoving down the gravity like a giant foot.
Yep. All he's got to do is
Stomp on the ground.
stomp, and he's good.
Which
Yeah.
I think is kind of
Cheap.
broken.
Like you could like use Beat and Giant Foot and just like kill their ears and step on.
Giant foot, beat.
No, Beat and
Giant-
Giant Foot use the same leg,
Oh,
though.
do they? Ah, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beat and Giant Foot use the same
That would have
leg.
been really cheap though.
I think
Yeah.
that's why.
Giant
But
Foot
anyway-
and Gatling.
Oh yeah, Gatling. But one more thing I want to talk about that we actually skipped over. Meteor actually shows some humanity since he said before he doesn't care whether or not a Zodiac would take a person hostage, but he couldn't fight when he took Tomoko hostage. And that led to Meteor getting his ass kicked.
Things that we knew are broken.
But yeah, it seems like Meteor is slowly growing to actually like his teammates. I'm not gonna call them his friends because he's not really their friends. And it's only a matter of time until they find out, holy shit, you're a Meteor.
Who wants to bet that Princess Tutu is the Zodiac?
Yeah. No, that was kind of revealed in the.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
already revealed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Thanks to
Which I think the way that they're actually going to defeat this one is that Zig is actually going to possess Gentaro and become wing form and kill him.
Foe's wing form?
Foe's wing form.
Anyway, verdict for this episode. Good episode.
Good episode.
Yes, good episode.
And now that we've gone through the Kamen Rider stuff, now comes the most important part of the show.
Gokaiger.
But first, it's time for the Toku music moment.
Ah!
I got you.
We made you wait. We made you
Ah.
wait.
I had the theme song going in the background and everything.
And this time it's going to be a very appropriate Toku music moment. Why is that? Because we're playing the ending theme, Super Sentai Hero Getter. And we'll be right back.
Whoa!
And we'll be right back with the episode discussion and the overall Gokaiger discussion.
バイオ粒子のバイオマンチェンジマンは伝説中フラッシュ宇宙の超新星光るオーラがマスクマン思い通してライブマン最大思い出スーパー戦隊レッツゴー一番輝くお宝探せレッツゴーファイレッツもっとまだまだ見てみたいんだ一歩前へワクワク海賊戦隊ゴーカイジャー 変身しちゃうチャンスカモレンジャー高校生教室兄弟5マンジェットマンはトレンディ10連恐竜ファンタジー記録で勝利が大レンジャーポップな忍者で隠れんじゃオーレン古代の超力だ交通安全カーレンジャー学園精神メガレンジャー明日の戦士の銀河もゴーゴー5はレスキューだダイブレンジャー未来から絶対覚えてスーパー戦隊レッツゴー一番大きなお宝ゲットレッツゴーファイナル嵐の時もへこんだ時も負けないぜ続々海賊戦隊ゴカイジャー地球のピンチいつだって救った戦士誰だゴーレン110吠えまくり忍びの風がハリケンジャー爆竜ガッツだ暴れんだデカレ宇宙の偵察官魔法の家族だマジレンジャープリンセス手数で冒険者激伝中剣修行中エンジン相棒ゴーンジャー真剣侍チャンバルだ天使がカードランゴ戦者伝説を作るぜ我らスーパー戦隊絶対覚えてスーパー戦隊レッツゴーみんな憧れるエブリデイゴーカイレッツゴーファイレスいつも僕らのナンバーワンで最高イエスしびれる海賊戦隊ゴカイジャー
And welcome back to the corner. And that was Super Sentai Hero Getter. It's a really catchy song.
I love it. I have it on my iPod.
I should have it on my iPhone. But anyway, now it's the time that y'all been waiting for.
But first,
God damn it, Night
A word from our sponsor. No. It's still superhero time. We're going to be talking about the last few episodes of Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, starting with episode 48. Sally's dead. Marvelous blown up. Bosco defeated the other 5 Gokaigers. Took the Ranger Keys, as well as the Gokai Galleon. Things aren't exactly looking great for our heroes.
Yeah, it's basically got shit on.
Yeah, but there's good news. Marvelous is alive!
Well, how
Hooray!
marvelous.
I totally didn't see that coming.
It totally didn't show it in the preview or anything.
No.
Alright.
I remember last podcast you guys were like, he has to be dead. We find out why he survived too way later on, but that's way ahead.
The beaten up Gokaigers take their greatly injured captain into an empty building to let them heal, while they decide to get on board the Gokai Galleon and get back their Ranger Keys, which Bosco took. Yet, oddly enough, he didn't take their mobiles.
He doesn't need them.
Anyway, the 5 make it onto the Galleon, and Bosco is on the search for Navi because she escaped from him, and he used his handy-dandy trumpet to use the Gokaiger Ranger Keys to hunt her down. And this was one of the cooler parts of the episode because you get to see the Gokaigers in their civilian form fighting their Ranger counterparts. And I thought it was really well done.
Choreography was spot on this episode. Damn.
And I loved how Don actually commented on his Ranger Key, like, rubbing his pants. It's like, I don't rub my pants when I fight, do I? You do it all the time. Oh, Luca.
Luca. Anyway.
Anyway.
Calm down.
Sexual tension is so thick. Knife.
Hey, it's not my fault that she
Is smoking.
she has an idle DVD and she loves soaking in all the otaku stuff.
Alright.
She's the perfect waifu. What?
Yeah.
Moving on from that weird, awkward situation, Nathan.
I don't know where else to go. What the? You're a dick.
Okay, so
They were rubbing you talked about the Green Ranger rubbing his pants, and
Well, that was
Never-
because
So
yeah. Anyway, evil Gokai Red finds Navi, and the rest of the Gokaigers go back to the bridge, and Bosco's ready to unleash something, but it's revealed that the Gokaigers actually defeated their evil Ranger counterparts. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
And in the process, they get their ass kicked by Bosco. Again. But right as Bosco's about to kill them, who else shows up but Navi? No. Marvelous shows up to save the day.
how he's able to move, we don't know why. It's probably pure will at this point. But...
Space magic.
Space magic.
They have arguably the best fight scene throughout the entire series.
Yeah, I'd have to say it is one of the best fights throughout the series. And it really shows how the Ranger powers don't make you strong, it's the willpower. I know that sounds cheesy and lame and stuff, but that's what they were going for. Because every other time they tried fighting Bosco, they just got owned. But now all of a sudden, like, Marvelous has no trouble beating him.
Well, here's the thing, and another good thing is that most of the fight was fought on Morph.
Exactly.
Like, Marvelous actually fought him with his own power and hardly ever used Gokaiger's power until, like, later on during the fight.
But there's one part where they actually use each other's weapons, which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But there's
Where Bosco got the pistols. And...
yeah, and Marvelous got the swords. But there's I know we said we weren't gonna show any clips, but we're gonna show one clip. And I think y'all know which clip I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Let's show it now.
正気めちゃくちゃやるねマーベラス言ったらこれが最後だ絶対に蹴りをつける
He stabs both their feet together, and then they have a gun, like, up shot. It's like.
Bosco shoots Marvelous. Marvelous slashes Bosco with his sword. Huge explosion. Looks like they're both dead. But Marvelous is saved by a charm that was on the bomb that Sally was wearing.
We should also make a note to mention that the reason Marvelous survived the blast is because Sally put the bomb in her like little stomach pocket thing.
Yeah.
And it absorbed most of the blast. So she sacrificed herself for Marvelous, and they had just become friends.
And we also find out that Bosco bleeds nail polish.
Yes. Steel nail polish. Which that is where he gets all of his power of being fabulous.
Wait, what color was it again? Was it green?
No, it was like aqua.
It was teal.
I was gonna say maybe he's an undead from Blade,
But
because they bleed green.
that marked the end of Bosco.
I'd personally say this was my favorite Gokaiger episode.
Oh my god.
And I kinda, in a lot of ways, it kinda tops the finale, but it, like, it was just like ever since the start, like when like Bosco showed up, we wanted to see him like defeated. He's such a dick.
But verdict for this episode, very good episode.
Amazing.
And let's go on over to the next episode, which is Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger episode 49. Bosco's dead. The Gokaiger's got the Gokai Galleon back, and they have the 5 grand powers that Bosco stole, which gives them all all 34 grand powers, which allows them to find the greatest treasure in the universe. We get more cameos! Oh my god!
Whoosh.
As
What?
the 5 teams that had their powers stolen actually allow the Gokaigers to use their powers. And thus, using the 34 grand powers, they turn Navi into a giant door.
With a Navi head on the top.
With a Navi
Oh my
head.
god, a giant door.
And inside said door is the location to the greatest treasure of the universe. And as they traverse through this dark cave, they see a light. And within this light, it is
The Triforce.
the Triforce. The greatest power, the greatest treasure in the universe is the Triforce.
Called it.
All
Called it.
knew that.
Called it.
It makes sense.
Which they also learned that the ultimate treasure is whatever their will wishes to be.
They could wish for anything, which includes a universe with no Zangyak.
And what was another ancient artifact that allowed you to make any wish you wanted? The Triforce.
That and a genie's lamp, but that's besides the point.
Triforce.
And fairy godparents.
Yeah.
Triforce.
But there was a
But
there
yeah,
was a catch.
None of the other teams will have ever existed either. So that means even more evil will happen without them. Also, the team never would have met in the first place, but, you know.
So make it so the Zangief never existed, and lose all the Super Sentais, and then have all the other bad guys who came pretty much rule the world and blah blah blah, are duked out on their own.
While they have to try to decide on this decision, they're attacked by Zangyak scientists in her giant Megazord.
Isnan or whatever her name
Isan,
is.
Ishan, yeah.
Isan.
But I bet you were happy, Samurai.
Oh yeah, I was happy.
Fucking Shinken Gokaiho.
Yeah.
You are
finally
such-
bring it back, and it was the best form. And
You
I
are
loved it.
such a Shinkenger fanboy. It hurts.
Because it was good, Zero. Because it was good.
Although I don't get why they didn't just use the Kanzen Gokaiho when it's easily the strongest form for the Gokaiho.
Well, we're the outnumbered.
Even so, the Kanzen Gokaiho proves to be a formidable match for anything. It killed the Emperor's son, for God's sakes. But anyway,
But then again, he wasn't really much of a threat.
yeah, he was a bit of a bitch.
No.
But anyway, they destroy the Megazord, go down, kick her ass, kick the minions' ass, and when that's all said and done, a giant Zangyak space fleet shows up to Earth to completely annihilate the planet.
Hey, Marvelous. Do we still have that pair of brown pants back on the Gokaiger? Yeah.
And that leads on to the next episode of Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, episode 50. And this is a bit of a downer, because Gokaigers get their asses kicked, the Gokai Galleon gets destroyed, and the Emperor announces that he will destroy and kill everybody on the planet the very next day.
But this was not until after they put up a really awesome fight by showing most of the special powers that they got for the Gokaiger to defeat a good chunk of the space fleet.
You know what I noticed? They didn't use Go-Go 5's power, which made me laugh.
Oh yeah, they never didn't Go-Go 5 even have a power?
Fire hoses!
Oh yeah, the fire hoses. The fire hoses.
Fire hoses of doom!
Fear my water!
But even with
It's only really effective on fire types.
but even with their grand powers, they were way outnumbered. They're sulking. about what to do, and they see various people that they met and past Super Sentai members like Mammoth Ranger.
Mastodon!
If only it was the Black Ranger.
Oh god, if it was Zack from Power Rangers.
Oh god.
He's like, why am I in Japan?
That'd be funny. Yo, man, you just gotta solve all your problems by hip hop keto.
That would be so awesome if just token Black Ranger just came in. Admit it, he was the best Black Ranger. Johnny Young Bosch is an asshole.
Well, here's the thing. Which one are they going to do when they bring Gokaiger into America? But let's not talk about that. Let's keep going on with the... We'll be here forever.
And actually, Mammoth Ranger pleads with Guy to use the ultimate treasure to get rid of Zanyak, because all the Super Sentai members agreed that they don't care what happens to them as long as their planet remains safe.
Yeah, but that would mean all of the other battles that the Super Sentai in the past have fought would be invalid.
We have to see Sorceress Rita again.
Oh, God.
But at the end of the day, Guy says, let's use the power so that we can get rid of Zanyak. But the other 5 Gokaigers say otherwise. And decide...
He doesn't matter, right?
And they say that they're going to face Zanyak head on using their own power. And Guy is inspired by this, and he destroys the ultimate treasure.
Oh,
He destroys the
God.
Triforce.
Which proves the Gokaigers are stronger than the Triforce.
But then we get an awesome scene of Zanyak foot soldiers about to kill a group of civilians. And then who shows up? The Gokaigers with their flag. And they transform and they go into fight. End of episode.
There was also 2 other cameos, wasn't there?
I don't remember.
There was the doctor guy from Gokaiger,
Oh
and I
yeah.
believe it was the mom from Magi Ranger.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about the doctor.
Yeah, but Gokaiger doesn't matter.
Oh.
Gokaiger had an opening theme. Fuck you. Anyway,
Rainbow.
we've come to the final episode of Gokaiger, episode 51.
Oh, God.
And
This made me cry.
It did.
they really decided to go out with a bang.
Literally.
A really big one.
Okay,
Establish that.
they fight and actually Navi finds Bosco's ship.
Oh, before you guys go on to that, there's something that I can't remember if it was in 50 or 51, but I think Marvelous uses the Zero Ranger key, and he
50.
gets.
That was 50,
Is
yeah.
it 50? Did you
No,
guys talk
51.
about? Did we talk about it?
No, it was 51.
No,
I just,
but yeah, they
But
went to
those
Zero
are-
Ranger.
Yeah, and Guy gave Marvelous the Dragon Shield,
And the
which
Dragon
made me
Dagger.
nostalgia bomb back to Cardiatron. I thought that was awesome. I just thought I'd mention that because I couldn't remember if it was 50 to 51. But sorry. Anyways, continue.
The fight that they have is just intense, and like I said, Navi
pulls her weight.
Yeah, and she finds Bosco's ship and starts killing shit with it.
Fight Bosco shit.
Kills other shit with it.
That's like the most badass thing I've ever seen a robot parrot do.
It's the only thing that you've seen a robot parrot do.
But anyway, Guy and Marvelous decide to go up and face the Emperor head on, while the other 4 decide to continue the fight on the ground. And
Which they go to the Emperor by ramming Bosco's ship into the main flagship's cockpit.
yeah, they didn't care.
It's Bosco's ship. They
That
wouldn't really care.
That motherfucker's dead. He's not gonna need it.
And this,
Also, you had a picture of Marvelous just doing this. Leroy Jenkins!
And then, of course, Joe is just like, oh my god, he just ran in.
and this leads to one of the better fight scenes of the series, where Guy and Marvelous fight the Emperor, and he's not even standing.
Yeah, at the beginning of the fight, they're slashing at him, and he's just sitting there. He's just sitting down, just waving his arms like he's doing the Macarena.
He's just like, nope. He's just like, nope. I don't want to get out of my seat. I'm just gonna sit here.
Oh, I'm too lazy. Can I just do this like this? Thanks, guys.
And we also see how strong he is, because he's able to beat up Guy even with his being in gold mode, which we haven't seen in a while.
Yes.
But what I find funny is while Guy is getting his ass kicked, Marvelous is at the ship's controls, using the flagship to destroy every other ship that was on the planet.
I just imagined him going, do. Hey, Marvelous, can you help? Do, just a sec.
1 second.
It's like, help! I'm hurting. I need some help. Hold on.
I will suck it up, you pansy.
Okay, I'm done.
But yeah, he allows Guy to get his ass kicked, and then when he finally destroys all the other ships, then he starts joining the fight, and yeah, they're getting their ass kicked.
Which I also found this quite funny, that the 6th Ranger got a Battleizer, yet the Red Ranger didn't, yet he's the one who always get a Battleizer.
That's only in Power Rangers.
Yeah, they aren't always in... Well, version 1 of, like, the SPD one was in Decker Ranger, but that's a different story. Or version 2 was, I can't remember, one of them was.
No, they showed the Battleizer that they showed in SPD, they showed in Decker Ranger versus Magi Ranger.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about past.
But yeah, they fight, and actually, the fight on the ground is really badass as well. It's like seeing Joe use the Gokai Galleon Buster, and
you finally got to see a boot charge.
And they demorph as it's happening.
Oh yes.
God.
Anyway, Marvelous and Guy managed to destroy the flagship, thinking they killed the Emperor a lot in the blast. And guess what? Gokai Red used the Ghost Age powers to save himself. So fuck you guys.
See, Ghost Ager is awesome. You all just need to learn.
Oh, I don't know what Guy used. I don't remember. Oh yeah, he used the Go on Wings.
He used the Go on Wings.
Go on Wings,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did he?
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, he's dead. Yeah, we fucking kicked his ass. Nope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna die that easily.
And then comes the helmetless roll call. Oh my god, it was so awesome.
Like, they do this in every season, but it gets better every time.
It's still weird seeing Doc rub his legs even more so without his helmet on.
I would think so.
But
my legs are so smooth.
Screw how smooth they are.
I use Gillette. Best a man can get.
Gillette Fusion.
But anyway, Gokaigers proceed to fight with the Emperor, and they use every Ranger key in their arsenal. With one member becoming a different Sentai member throughout the whole 35-year history, which was fucking awesome.
I'm so glad they saved this for the end.
Oh my god.
And then they finish it off by having battleized ultimate forms of the past 6 Ranger series.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was so cool too. And that still didn't kill him.
No, it's like they had like the Dragon Sword Shinken Red. They had
Gold Mode and
help me out, guys.
Super Ghost Agers, Geki Ranger,
Super Ghost Agers,
SPD,
SPD,
SWAT mode.
SWAT, yeah.
SWAT mode.
I don't remember the other ones.
Was Guy Gosei Knight?
No, no, he was Gold.
Magic Pink.
Oh yeah, Magic Pink.
Who was Guy then?
He was just in Gold Mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was just in gold mode.
But even with their final waves, he still wouldn't die until guy fucking stabs him with the Gokai Galleon Buster.
Shootings.
And then gives him a
showstopper
silver.
charge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it gives him a silver charge.
Showstopper charge.
They shoot the emblem at him. They shoot the fucking Gokaiger emblem at
And
Emperor.
I love that the emblem bounces off of him, and then hits him again in 5 separate attacks.
Oh
The-
yeah,
the
yeah,
boss
yeah.
with the, like
That's
5
so
different
cool.
swords. It just stabs him.
That was unbelievably cool.
It's like, ow, that hurt. Oh wait, the attack's not done, motherfucker.
Oh, that was so badass. And of course he explodes and he's dead.
I'm like, are we dreaming? Is he dead?
I was totally
What?
expecting him to come back and be like, nope.
Ah,
They're
you
just like,
you done goofed.
you done goofed. He just
And,
reforms. You done goofed.
And then how many months passed before they like
Several
like,
months. It just says
Yeah.
several months later.
Yeah,
but
then several months
definitely
later.
And
ship is up.
that restaurant that was blown up in the first episode is rebuilt.
Yeah, Marvelous finally got his food.
And the Gokaijers decide to go after the second greatest treasure in the universe, which
We will never know.
is possibly on the Zangyak home planet. But before they leave, they give back the powers of the past Sentai.
That almost made me cry. Oh my god, that was.
I think
And then they have
I think
all the different cameos, like
Yeah.
Go on Silver, Dire Ranger Blue and Green, Magi Pink.
though of all the
Go
cameos, I think the most epic was
Go red.
Go Red. Yes.
Go Red.
Go Ranger.
Yeah.
And him saying,
Akari.
and then Go Red saying that inspirational speech.
And then you see the Gokaiger sailing off into the space seas.
Which that, well, first then Marvelous actually sees a shadow of who else?
Akka
His
Red.
former captain.
Akka
Akko
Red.
Red.
There is one clip we have to play. It's the ending thing, the handoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I want to play that.
Okay. Clip now.
この番組は楽しい時を作る企業バンダイとご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りしました。
So, with that clip played, who's excited for Go Buster?
Oh my god.
I'm still on the fence about it, but I'm hopeful.
Me too.
I'm hopeful too. I mean, I've got,
I have high hopes for Go Buster. I mean, I like the premise. It looks cool. I just think it's gonna be awesome. And what about? I know it hasn't been. They haven't said when the series is gonna start. But Akihabara Ranger. What do you guys think?
I really haven't heard
Never
that.
heard of it.
I really haven't heard that much about it, so I really don't have an opinion on it.
Was it a cartoon before?
Apparently, it's gonna be live action, but it's not gonna be official Sentai series. But I think it's gonna be more of a parody-like thing. But at the same time, they're gonna try and they've got some really good people working on it. They got directors from Kamen Rider, Tiger and Bunny, just a whole mix of really good people working on
So
it.
wait, was this a cartoon before? Because I've never heard of it.
Well,
It was supposed to be anime, but it looks like they're making it into a live action.
and it like I don't know. I think it's gonna look interesting, but they're like you said, there hasn't been much shown yet. Like they just showed what the suits are gonna look like today.
Also, I do need to point out one more final thing in the final episode of Gokaiger. Something
Okay.
Guy said right when they were about to leave. He said that they were going to be back next year and on summer and winter break.
Well, summer is when the Superhero Tyson movie premieres.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the plot of it, spoiler, Gokaigers take over the army or something.
Captain Marvelous
becomes
oh,
the lead.
What?
Marvelous becomes the leader of Dai Zangyak, and Decade becomes the leader of Dai Shocker, but nobody gives a shit about Decade.
I hope
Decade
they
can
go
die
Busters
of
kick
fire.
his ass.
Here's the thing, Marvelous is now in search for the ultimate powers of the Kamen Riders.
Oh, God.
So place your bets. The Gokaigers versus Fourze and Meteor.
And Go Busters versus Decade.
Decay. Go Busters.
Go Busters.
You know, I kind of was hoping that Double and O's would also be main riders for the movie, but
Actually, here's the thing. O's is going to be a main rider because it did show that he was casted for the movie.
like Watanabe was.
Yes, his actor, Iji, is showing up in the movie. It was announced in the cast. Also, we have the Deadliner owner, Naomi, and Momotoros coming back from Deno.
So let's think of this. It could be Gokaigers versus Fourze, Meteor, O's, Deno, Double, and possibly Birth. Who knows?
Well, here's the thing. They're bringing back, like, all of the riders
Oh yeah,
and Sentais.
but how many of them are actually going to have their official actors reprise the roles instead of just suit actors?
Well,
I think just
so
the last
far
couple
it's been
years for
announced.
Kamen Rider.
Oh, and Decade.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention Decade.
Fuck Decade.
Of course.
Decade and his crew, Iji, Momotoros, the owner of Denliner, and Naomi. And here's the thing, the other Imagines, like Uotoros, Ryotoros, and Kintoros, have not been announced. So we don't know if they're going to be in it.
So there may not be Deno's final form. May just be
No.
sword form.
Maybe, but we're getting a little off topic here,
Yeah.
talking about. But what did you think about the ending of Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger? Leave your comments below and let us know. And join us next week as we're going to be talking about the premiere of Tokome Sentai Go Busters. And
I have high hopes for it. I really do.
I hope you guys are ready for morphing time.
It's time for
God.
Buster.
It's going to have a lot to put up to follow Gokaiger.
But
Yeah.
But to close the show, I want to talk about Gokaiger a little bit more because this is an amazing series. This is the first Sentai series that I finished that was regularly updating, and
Same here.
just the impact that it made. Because not only was it a good series, it was an anniversary series, and they took this gimmick and ran with it really well.
It just goes to show you, Gokaiger did everything good that Decade did so wrong.
Exactly, and like they did the entire history. That means like if somebody who grew up in the 70s watching old Sentai, like watching Go Ranger, Jack, Battle Fever, Denji Man, all that, they could watch this and feel and get the connection, feel that nostalgia that of watching these shows when they were little.
Hell, I mean, even if you didn't watch Sentai, let's say you watched Power Rangers like I did coming into this, like seeing the suits and seeing the characters, like Doggy Kruger is in Deca Ranger, and even though his suit looks a lot stupider in Deca Ranger, it still was like, oh my god, Doggy Kruger!
Although Gokaiger did have a few hiccups every now and then, it was pretty consistent in terms of quality.
I counted 3 episodes that were kind of bad, slow, stuff like that. But they quickly fixed it.
They did, and they had amazing characters with the Gokai Galleon crew.
I found myself liking every single crew member. I didn't think I would like Gokai Silver, but he was just a fanboy like me, and I'm like, oh, I would totally kill me in this position right now.
It's just like usually here in America, you don't care about any of the characters or only care about a few, but here you care about everybody. You care about Marvelous, Joe, Luca, Doc, Ahim, and Guy, and even
Luca.
Luca.
It's really hard to pick a favorite, but I'd have to say Luca's my favorite only because she's awesome and hot.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty unanimous that we think Luca is smoking hot. But hotness aside, like they all had different distinct characters that you really cared about, and learning their backstories was just as interesting.
They really went all out for the season, not just in the visuals, but in the characters.
All right. I think it's about time we wrap this podcast up.
All right. Unfortunately, there's no trivia question this episode, but we will have 2 trivia questions for the next episode, which will mean double the points. And thank you, Gokaiger, for entertaining us for this past year. You've given us an amazing ride.
Yeah, thanks for introducing me to Sentai.
And anyway, for the Tokusatsu Corner, I'm Nathan Graves 989.
I'm Nightshade.
I'm Zeromaster.
And I'm Samurai Cage 2.
And we'll see you next time.